You have a thought and you try to push it away, but the harder you push, the stronger that thought becomes. Take a young monk named Arjun. For 6 years, he lived in a mountain monastery, waking before sunrise, sitting in meditation, and following every rule without a single complaint. But despite his perfect routine, dark thoughts started creeping in. Thoughts about past failures and deep shame would appear without warning, in the middle of a meal or in the quiet moments right before sleep. He had built a flawless external environment designed entirely for peace. Yet all that strict daily discipline couldn't stop the arrival of these negative psychological disruptions. Arjun responded the only way he knew how. He fought back. He tried to forcefully suppress the thoughts, pushing his body into rigid postures and forcing himself into longer, grueling meditation sessions to drive them out. The result was an immediate backlash. The forceful suppression amplified the original dark thoughts and brought along a heavy, secondary layer of shame just for having them in the first place. One morning, before he even opened his eyes, the heavy, familiar feeling was already there. He realized his exhausting mental combat was yielding absolutely zero relief. This diagram illustrates exactly what was happening inside his mind. Applying direct force to an internal psychological anomaly inherently strengthens it. The suppression thickens the connection to the thought, creating a self-defeating feedback loop that is impossible to escape through effort alone. Desperate to solve this internal crisis, Arjun left his mat and went looking for his mentor, Master Shen. He found the old master sitting at the edge of the monastery grounds. Before them was a vast, perfectly still pond catching the first pale light of morning, a physical representation of the unforced state of mind. Arjun sat on the cold stone and confessed everything. He explained his aggressive mental resistance, the endless fighting, and his ultimate failure to stop the thoughts. Master Shen listened. When Arjun finished, he picked up a small stone, turned it over, and tossed it into the still water. The stone broke the surface, sending rings outward in every direction. But as Shen sat and did absolutely nothing, the system naturally expended that energy. Slowly, the rings grew smaller, and the water settled back into perfect stillness. Then, Master Shen handed Arjun a second stone. He told his student that the next time the pond was disturbed, Arjun should try to physically stop the moving ripples with his bare hand. Master Shen picked up a pail and poured a slow stream of water into the pond. Instantly, active moving rings spread across the surface. Arjun leaned forward and pressed his open palm flat and hard against the moving water, trying to force it to stop. This shows the baseline state we observed. Clean, concentric rings expanding smoothly from a single disruption. But look what happens when downward pressure is applied. The displaced energy violently increases turbulence. The rings shatter, creating entirely new vectors of chaos across the environment. In a fluid system, applying restrictive force doesn't create calm. It acts as a completely new and much more violent source of disruption. Arjun lifted his wet, shaking hand. He sat quietly and watched as the fractured, chaotic water naturally found its own way back to a flat stillness. The physics of the pond perfectly mapped to the mechanics of human psychology. That thrown stone is an invasive dark thought, and the body of water is the human mind. Leaving those thought rings alone allows them to safely dissipate on their own. Pressing against them, fighting them, only fractures the mind further. Master Shen had delivered his teaching without a lecture. The solution to Arjun's internal storm was achieved through absolute non-action and mere observation. Mental peace is not an action you can forcefully perform. It is a natural baseline state. It returns only when you actively deactivate the mechanism of resistance. As the sun finally crested the trees, Arjun placed his stone gently on the rock. He chose to sit alone and simply observe the morning, rather than fight his internal state. His claustrophobic, combative mindset dissolved. In its place, he adopted a wide-open, strictly observational presence. The dark thoughts would still come, but they were no longer the enemy. The fight against the thought is the actual source of the suffering, not the thought itself. True mastery over your internal environment requires a specific kind of courage. It is the courage to allow disturbances to pass without your intervention.